Newborn stage is really hard.
Pregnant, I was,
Well, am I supposed to know more about my kids?
I felt very lonely. You just need to go lay down or sit down so you feel by yourself, you feel alone. Welcome back, everyone.
For a time like this podcast.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're your hosts.
So
it's been a minute.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Y'all, it seems like, y'all was just here last week, but we did a two-parter. So that was 2 weeks ago, plus a week, or an interview with her. So it's like been 3 weeks. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. And if you guys watched the last one with Sister Linda Hawkins, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was a little nervous. I mean, I guess doing this, I shouldn't be as nervous anymore.
Well, that was your first time going with somebody other than me.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like my first time interviewing somebody that's not Ashley.
And my first interview was with my mother-in-law, which I'm already have like a more personal relationship with, where you just, you her have like a church relationship, but it's not anymore. Where me and my mother-in-laws, we've been different places, so it's probably like a little bit different. And I would have been nervous too.
Yeah, but like if this episode was I really liked it. I really enjoyed it, but like.
I liked it too.
The day that you're trying to do something, everything could go wrong. Like, it just went wrong. Everything could just go wrong. Like, I don't know what it is, if it's just me. Like,
I think it's everybody.
Because I'm like, it's one of those days that, like, you're ready to do something or it's important, and, like, everything that could go wrong goes wrong. Yep. But anyway, it went fine. It was fine.
Yeah, and once she got there, she was served the most scrumptious, what would it be called? Like a... like a dessert, a snack, or something. She was a very gracious host.
Yeah, she was a very gracious.
She made her the most delicious looking drink.
A drink
and like a cake, and I'm like,
I have
next time I'm going and you're watching the cake.
It was a homemade cheesecake that she got from her town around there, and it was so good.
It looked
good. It was really good. Now her drink, she makes it specialty, and it's really good. It's really, really good.
I was like so jealous. Natalie showed me. She didn't tell me while she was gone. She got back, and she's all like, "Yeah, I stayed a little longer. Look at all this fancy stuff I got." And I'm like, "Really?" I would have been like, "Your kids need you immediately." If I'd known you were just whining and dining.
I think that's right.
But no, it was. Her kids were really good. I actually got asked if her kids were my kids, like 2 separate times. One lady asked me, like, I have my 2 and her 2, and she was like, "Are all of these yours?" And I'm like, no. These 2 both are 3 months apart, so I don't think that would have worked out, but it was kind of funny. And then another lady was like, tell me how cute Eleni was. She's like, "She's so cute," and going on, and asked me something. I'm like, "She is really cute. She's not my kid." I didn't have any help in making her cute.
I feel like nowadays there's a lot of blended families.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think people blink an eye.
Yeah,
on
I don't think so. And she probably was, I don't know what she's thinking. I guess she just thought maybe it was my husband's and my kids, maybe. I don't know.
That's so funny. Did you tell your husband? Like,
when I got home?
Yeah,
I don't remember if I did or not.
That
was fun.
That was funny, though.
She had a good time.
Yeah.
It turned out really, really well. So if you have not watched it, I got like... just editing it, I loved it. There was so much in there. I'm like, I felt like that spoke to me right now. Yeah. It was just so good.
Now, later on that day, I think it was, I was telling my husband about her new book, and when she was talking about, I'm gonna cry now.
Don't skip on my cinnamon.
Don't skip on my cinnamon, or whatever. It was like the last words her husband said to her, so it was like my husband started tearing up. He's like, "Don't tell me that." My husband gets really sensitive about that, but he also talked to Brother Hawkins a lot and was good friends with him, I guess. But it's just one of those things, I guess, that would make him cry. And I started tearing up, so I quit talking about it. I was like, "It's just a good book." I gave up after that because I was like, I don't want to see him cry. I want to cry. Anyway.
But I did leave the links for the 3 books that she spoke about in there in the description, and a link to her her website as well. So if you're interested in those books.
I actually do have her book, and as I was reading it, it's sad, but it tells a lot. Like she said, it tells a lot about her.
Did she say 150 stories of her life?
Of her life and stuff. Just a lot of them, and like I am going to tell you guys one of the very beginning stories, because I think it would be terrifying. Like, she apparently got attacked by a dog, and she had like for the longest time, she had fear of dogs.
Oh yeah.
And I don't blame her. Like, oh my goodness, getting attacked by a dog at 4 years old. Woo! But anyway, her book is really good. And I know I think I got the tea food that she did, and I have it in there, and I just have it.
I have one of her cookbooks. I don't remember.
I think it's like mine was like a tea cook, but it's got like all kinds of tea that you can make. And
yeah,
like,
I think mine's like the cookbook, like it has like extra like food and stuff in there. I can't remember the name of it, but I do have that
one. But she does good stuff. So.
Yeah, and I also have some of her children's books. I think I have 2 of them. So I think it's the Alexander and the Great Food Fight, and then maybe the other one.
I need to get
the vegetable one. I can't remember.
My kids
like I'm
love
talking
those.
about now, but I can't think of the names of them.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But anyway, so y'all check it out.
Anyways, also Natalie and I both read a book together. Usually, like we've read the same books before.
Yep.
But usually it's like she reads it and then I'll read it,
Yep.
or like it's about. But this time we read it together, and it was like so fun. So if you all have any book recommendations, let us know, and maybe we can say, hey, this week we're going to read this book, and then we can all like read the book together.
Yes.
So that the next episode we can all like report back on our opinions. But it was so funny because we had the exact same opinion about the book.
Yes, it's so funny. Like, I think she finished it first before I did, but then when we was texting about it, you was like, well, how did you feel about it? And I was like, well, I kind of felt this and that, and she was like, I felt the same way.
Yeah, because she was the one who got me going on that book. She was like, so-and-so recommended this book, and so I'm like, well, I don't want to be rude and be like, I thought it had good points, but I didn't love it. But so that's how she felt the same way.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It was just one of those books that you read it and you're just like,
I gleaned some things.
Yeah, but anyway.
But
what was neat about this book was I think the lady that wrote it used to be Pentecostal or Apostolic or something.
Yeah, because she said something about her being Pentecostal.
So on today's episode, as we thought about we know it's not Mother's Day or anything like that, but we figured we'd go ahead and just talk about this, and we're going to talk about the first time of us being a mama.
Yeah, like our first year.
Yeah, our first year.
And what kind of got me thinking about this was I was talking to a first-time mom the other day, and we were saying something, and I was like, oh, no, this is really hard. Like, the newborn stage is really hard. And she's like, I could see, like, part of her just kind of feel like a little bit relieved hearing that. And I'm like, I don't guess people tell people that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, anytime somebody new has a new baby, everybody's like, these moments are so great. I miss my babies being newborn and all this stuff. And new mothers are not realizing like it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I don't think people will relate. I don't guess people will be like, this is so hard while you're going through something. But I felt like she kind of felt like, okay, it does get easier because everybody's telling me that they love this part. And if they love this part, how much worse is it going to get? But anyway, that kind of got me thinking like, yeah, maybe we should chat about that.
I feel like even when you're like expecting your first one, people do, and which is great. People give you advice and stuff and whatnot. But like you said, they'll like be like, oh, just embrace this little moment or sleep as much as you can. But they don't tell you like how, I mean, it is great. It's a blessing, but it's a lot.
Have you ever questioned somebody on their advice? Has anybody ever gave you advice and you was like, oh, is that what you did? And they're like, no, it's not.
No,
I have that, like, a lot of times when people are saying, like, rest when the kids rest or do this, and I'll say, is that what you did? And they're like, well, no, but that's what you should do. And you're like, okay, then. So you might want to question people's advice when they give it to you because they might not actually do that.
Man, I don't think I even...
So I do have a scripture that kind of goes along with what we're talking about today. All right, Psalms 127 and verse 3 says, lo, children are the heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So it's pretty much saying like,
children
this is your heritage.
Yes.
The Lord gave it to you. It's our reward. Like the children are a reward. Children are great. Children are loved. But all that being said, we kind of want to talk about the real aspects of it, that it's not quite as...
Yeah, it's not...
The words can sound pretty, and it is. And when you look back, you don't see all the hard as much. Like you really focus on the good, and it's
and like I feel like
too, kind of a
now society too will like make it like children is like more than just children. Like, oh, you can dress it up, or I don't know. Just they make it more like super appealing that even if you're not ready, you're not.
Oh, like a baby's accessory.
Yes.
And like, oh, all
yes.
this kind of like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's more than just like dressing up your baby, or it's more than just, I don't know, it's a lot. Like we're in different stages too, but like we're about the same, our kids are about the same age.
Yeah.
But it's still, we go through every phase that it's still pretty hard. And, you know, I think taking care of them, you have to even tell them no. You can't always just tell them yes, you know, and you would hate it, but you're also doing what the Bible says, discipline them and let them, you know, grow. But I don't know.
All right, we'll just jump right
yeah.
in with the first year. So you can go ahead and start. How old were you, and how long? Okay, how long had you been married whenever you got pregnant?
We were married about a year.
About a year when you got pregnant.
And our first baby was a surprise baby.
And then how old were you when you had her?
I think it was 23, 22, 23.
So you was a younger mama.
Yeah, I was kind of a younger mama, but I was
not like a younger mom, but like yeah.
It was for me. It was too young. I kind of wanted a baby like between 26 and up. I think is what I wanted. But, you know, surprise, lo and behold, here comes my first one, Camilla. The story when I found out about her is probably not your norm, how you would find out. Like, I did not find out at home. I don't know if you know this story, but
I never heard it.
I did not find out at home. I didn't find out with my husband. I didn't find out and just like by myself. I went to the doctors. Yeah, she was like, yeah, I can't give you this because, you know, you are pregnant. I was like, huh? Like,
you had no clue?
I had no clue. Like, I think I was, at that time, I was 4 or 5 weeks in, and I did not know. Like, I had no clue. I had no morning sickness. I had no clue whatsoever. Like, I didn't know, like.
You wasn't planning it, so it's not like you were.
Yeah, so, like, I was there, and just for a checkup, and then it was just like one of those things that she just came and she was like, we can't give you this because, you know, you're so I sat there and I was like, what? And my husband was in the car sitting because we were fixing to leave to go visit my mom, and so he was sitting in the car, and then I'm sitting in the
Was you crying?
office. No, I was just like, a baby. I was like, what? Pregnant? I was like, I can't be well, you know, I can't be pregnant, but it was just one of those things that I was like shocked about because I wasn't expecting it like right then. But I'm like also thinking like, what am I going to tell my husband? How's my face going to look? Like, what am I going to give it away with my face? And I think I did. Because,
did you go right out and tell him?
Well, I had to because I think he saw it on my face.
Oh, I didn't know if he kind of like saved it.
He saw it and he's like, something must be wrong or something. I was like, oh, you know, he told me later that he was like, his thought was like, he had a fear that I would go in and I would find out that I was pregnant there, and like he was just like thinking it, you know, like, and then he was like, nah, she won't, whatever. And as soon as I came out, I had this look in my face, and he was like, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. And I was trying my best not to tell him, and I was like, nothing. And he said, what's wrong? Like, I could see it on your face, and I said, I'm pregnant.
What was his response?
He was like, really? Like, it was just like, we were both in shock. Really. It was like, you know, it's a blessing. We were fine with being pregnant, but it was just like finding out that way and like, what? Like, really? Like, we weren't preparing to have one, you know?
Right.
But anyway, it was funny. It was, we drove to my mom's house and we were both like still in shock. Like, what we're going to do? How are we going to do this? But anyway, it was funny. But yeah, my first one was not a norm. I would love to find out, like, if I was when I was home or something.
Yeah, right.
But,
so that's with mine. We had with my firstborn, we had been trying, which we didn't get married until I was 26 when we got married, and so like a little bit after we was married, we're like, you know, we were old enough.
Yeah.
We want to go ahead and start our family. We didn't really want to wait.
Yeah.
But then it took us I think about a year and a half of trying, and It's tried for a bit. I don't know if I'm going to put all this in there. It's a little bit
You
personal,
just
but
put
we'll
whatever
see.
you.
But we tried for a little bit, and then I just kind of went and got checked, making sure everything was good. And then, like, I think we just really stressed out about it.
Yeah.
Like, after the first bit, we didn't think anything of it. And then after we tried for a little, then we were stressing. And then, like, eventually I was like, okay, well, why don't you go get checked out? So and they're like, no, y'all's perfectly fine. And within a month of being told that we're perfectly fine, healthy, we were pregnant. So I think that stress of like not knowing that we can, like, you just like your mind just plays, like, if it don't happen immediately, your mind just like, what if this or what if that, what if this, and like I remember I was working and I was like leaned over and I felt sick, like I was gonna throw up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just gonna go home and see. Like my husband wasn't home, but I was just like
So did you
so curious.
So like you got sick and then you kind of thought like,
I was like hoping,
okay.
because we've been trying for a while. So I was like, it's probably not, but maybe. And so I found out, and then I didn't tell my husband all day. I just left it on the table for him to see. Because he could walk by, like, he's in the kitchen, and I have it on the dining room table, like the test. And he's like, what is that? And he's like, no, it's not. No. And I'm like, yes, it is. He's like, no. So we were so excited.
I was hoping to have a story like that.
But I wish I recorded it now, like his reaction. I don't have a recording of it, but yeah.
I couldn't record it because I was shocked too. So like, anyway, but man, that's so sweet. Oh well.
But yeah, that's how I kind of got. I was like a little bit suspicious, but not really, because we've been trying so long. But it's just like the hope, but not sure. Because I don't even think I was late. Yeah. Like I think immediately I was just like, that seemed off.
How did pregnancy go?
I was sick for the first maybe 10 weeks, I think it was. Like, I got really, really sick with Oakley, but I was working at that time. I was working 6 days a week, and I had to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and go into work. So I think that probably had a little bit to do with my sickness. But I did get on something. Like, I called my doctor, and I was like, because it felt like I was, you ever like spun in circles, like on a merry-go-round? That's how I felt. And I'm like, I can't function. I was like, I have to work. Yeah. And so they did give me something
to kind of help you.
Yeah, and I only took it like maybe 1 or 2 times, and after that it was fine. But as far as my pregnancy, easy peasy.
Easy?
They were not difficult. I had to like struggled a little bit, like put on a lot of weight. Like my body just kind of got tired, and my legs kind of like got real tired sometimes. But as far as anything else,
no,
not a problem.
Well, that's good though.
Because I was working. I don't know if that probably helped. I worked a lot, and I was trying to work out too, so like I try to stay really, really active. Yeah. And I worked at the post office, so I would be like,
you would probably have to stand a lot.
Yeah, I was on my feet all the time, and then I would be like throwing packages. Yeah. And they'd be heavy, some like heavy lifting, moving. So I'm like working out. Yeah, every day. So I think that helped.
I had a bit. I was working at the time. I was babysitting, but I was going to people's houses and babysitting. So like, when I found out, I had 2 little girls that I was babysitting with me, but I never got sick. Like, I never did find out, I never got sick. I didn't really. I was babysitting while I was pregnant, so I was still kind of working and moving a little bit. But I never did like get sick or anything. I think what hurt the most was like my stomach being stretched out. I think that was like the only thing that really hurt and itched a lot, was just my stomach being stretched out.
Yeah,
like back then I was small, and so like my belly, my belly being stretched out that far, it hurt. I don't know if it hurt you, but it hurt, and like it itched a lot too. So
no, mine didn't like. I got pretty big, but I don't remember it being like painfully. Because, well, also to note, Natalie and I are pretty short. Yeah. So I know short people that don't get that big, but our baby didn't have any room to go, so our baby just kind of had to go out. Yeah. Because I was pregnant at the same time as some other women that were like taller, and their like bumps were like this big. Little. But I'm like 5'2", and my belly's like this big, and I'm like.
Yeah. I mean, our babies didn't have nowhere to go but out. So
yeah.
So ours was just stretched.
Our stomachs probably did stretch a little more than the average.
But anyway, so how was like your husband through this pregnancy? Did he get like a craving?
Yes. Okay, that got on my nerves so bad. Yeah. I've been pregnant 3 times. Okay, with my first one, the whole time he would have morning sickness, and he would get like he was pregnant type of stuff. With this last pregnancy, the pregnancy that we lost, I told him, like, it was super early. I was like, if I didn't know better, I would think I was pregnant. And he was like, well, that would explain why I've been having morning sickness. So I'm like, through all my pregnancy, he gets morning sickness, and he wants me to feel sorry for him. And I'm like, no.
That is so funny.
No. But yeah, he would. I can't remember if he had any weird cravings.
Yeah.
But he did. He did say that he got morning sickness.
That's so funny. With my first one, I ate pickles a lot. And my husband hates pickles. He hates pickles. But he ate them because he was starting to crave them with me. Yes.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. I think that was about it that we did. But I would crave, with my first one, I was craving like salads and fruits a lot. So I would eat a lot of salads and fruits. But I also ate this bread. It was peanut butter bread with a little bit of honey and sliced bananas on a sandwich, and that's what I would have every morning. And probably not great, but that's what I craved, and that's what I ate. And then like later on for lunch and dinners and stuff, I would just want a salad and fruits. That's it.
I wanted Mexican and hot food.
Really?
Like, I'd go to Sonic on my break a lot of times and order those jalapeno peppers, like the jalapeno poppers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and my daughter like loves Mexican, and she'll eat like hot, like more, a little bit more spicy food. So I don't know. But that's what we had.
That's
that
crazy.
was fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my little one now, or my first one, she'll
She
eat
is
more
a salad.
vegetables and salads, and like she'll eat more of that stuff than she will pasta.
Yeah.
So like, that's just crazy to me. But anyway.
Well, another thing too, I never liked cake or bacon before I got pregnant.
Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't like the texture of cake. I just didn't like it. But then when I got pregnant with my first one, love cake
Loved
now.
cake.
Like, I can eat cake.
Yeah.
It's good. I like bacon now.
Crazy
It's
how
weird.
pregnancy just
And like,
kinda
I figured
changes.
after pregnancy I wouldn't like it anymore, but I still do. So.
Yeah. Did you ever have any issues with like during pregnancy with like your teeth or anything?
Yeah, I do think
I
my
did.
teeth hurt.
Like, I feel like I gotten more, like my teeth gotten more like frail kind of, because my teeth started chipping a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my goodness. And like they told me, like I went to the dentist for it, and they told me why. And I was like, and they were like, well, we can't do anything right now because you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Did they tell you anything to help prevent it?
just drink a lot of milk. Get some more of like the whatever is in milk, vitamin D. Do that and stuff. I mean, it's just, they really couldn't help it because of pregnancy does change a lot. But yeah, anyway. Did you, besides like your husband feeling craving anything, how was your moods? Did you have any moods?
I didn't think I did, but my husband said I was, so I don't know what to say on that one. I think I was a delight, but he says I was a little bit moody. Did your husband think you were?
I think he did. I don't really.
I think like towards the end, I think he got on my nerves a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's what it was at the very end of my pregnancy.
It was just like,
oh, quit touching me.
I don't know if I'm thinking like you're the reason I'm feeling this miserable. I don't know, but he did kind of got on my nerves.
Yeah.
So I probably was more snappy to him than I would have
like
been.
I kind of just didn't want him to touch me. I'm like, I felt like I was babysitting kids, so like they was touching me. I was holding one like all the time, and then coming home, he wanted to hug me, and like me being pregnant and just kind of like full. I was just like, please don't touch me right now. Like, don't like that feeling.
Well, it was weird. Like towards the end of my pregnancy, like the last 10 weeks or something, I felt like I couldn't eat that much. I was so full. But then the last week, or maybe 2 weeks, I was starving. I went for a
Couldn't
checkup.
get enough to eat.
No, and my midwife was like, this is going to be such a small little baby, maybe 5 pounds. She's going to be little. Yeah. And she come out 7 pounds. And like that 2 weeks time, because I was like starving, my husband was like, this is going to be a big old baby if you keep eating like that. Because I'm like McDonald's every day. I'm like, I'm starving. I want junk.
That is so funny. Well, mine was the opposite. My doctor, because I asked her, I said, so about average of what's the average baby weight? What do you think mine would weigh? She said, average is more like 7, 8, around there. And she said, I think yours could be about 7 to 8. No, mine was a 5-pounder. Mine was little.
Mine was bigger than what I was expecting her to be. She wasn't like a fat baby, but a 7-pound baby was a pretty good size baby.
So forward, How was
Afterwards?
Afterwards,
After baby?
after
Oh,
baby.
you go ahead and tell yours. How did after you had your baby?
Okay.
First of all, I don't really think people need to tell you about this. I'm not going to go into detail either, so I'm not going to hear it from me. But like, I think it's kind of almost a surprise, like all the afterwards, because nobody really talks about it.
Well, I'm going to say this first. Nobody does talk about how it is during or after or when you're having the baby. But I'm not going to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about how I felt about it and how I dealt with it. Now, mind you, I'm a shy person. Like, I was very backwards. Being checked by someone was not my ideal of fun. I would be so embarrassed. Like, I don't know why. It's my nature, I guess, because I was so backwards. And I don't know. It was just not my ideal of fun at all. But like, as I went on through my pregnancy and got checked every now and then, got to see the baby, I kind of got a little bit more like relaxed and just comfortable a little bit. But when having the baby, we had an induction, so we went that night and had her, and oh my goodness, it was tiring. I don't know how you felt, but
what time did you have to go in?
Tired. We went in at 11 or 12, something like that. So like we went to church. It was that Monday, but we went to church Sunday night and came home, kind of got packed and stuff. And really, I don't think we went to sleep. I think we just kind of laid there for a little while until it was time to go. And then we were like, we called his mom. We're like, okay, we're ready. We need to, because his mom went with us that night. So she went with us, and we drove all the way over there. It was about 11, and they didn't get us in until about 12. And like, I know his mom was probably tired. But she went with us, and we got there. They started me on Pitocin, and then that following morning, all his family was there and came and see us. Well, his sister-in-laws were to see us, and then later on, I think my mom showed up and just kind of had.
Were they all in a room with you?
Yeah, they all kind of.
Your mom and mother-in-law?
No, not when I had the baby. It was just me and my husband. After having the doctors see me, I didn't want nobody else to see me. So I just had my husband and me in the room. But I feel like with my first one, it was fine. It went smooth. It went well. But afterwards, it was hard. Anyway, I will say that after baby was born, they give you time at the hospital. They give you like an hour or two with just you and your husband and the baby after they get done checking it and stuff. But afterwards, your family's there. They're waiting to see the baby. So like, I'm laying at the hospital bed, and like everybody's there. Like everybody came in at the same time, and I felt so awkward because I'm laying on the bed like. I'm laying on the bed.
And you haven't had to get a bath yet?
No, not a bath. Feeling tired and like just very exhausted. And I'm just like trying to stay up and talk to them and, just kind of. And I think my husband had just went to get us dinner, and he brought it back, and we still had not ate after, like, it's been like 24 hours, I think. He hadn't ate. I hadn't ate.
Did you not let your husband go eat?
No.
I did.
I told him he could.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
Well, I told mine, I was like, go get you, like, right near mine. I was like, just go get you a snack or something. Like, go get you some air, because I was like, I know how I'm feeling. I know that you'll be, and I have like IVs coming in, so I'm getting some fluids, even though it's I'm hungry or whatever. But I was
able to get fluids.
Yeah, I told him to go get your strength, because I'm gonna need you later. So,
but as far as like afterwards, I think now with like COVID,
because I had
a lot.
My first one during 2020. Nobody was allowed in the room but my husband.
Yeah.
And then no one was allowed to come up there to us.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get to have any visitors until we got home, which I liked.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, because I remembered like thinking like, I cannot imagine all this happening and then 1,000 people coming in. Like, my father-in-law looking at me. That would be no. So like when I had my son, which was just a year later, things have kind of lifted a little bit, but I was like, I think we're going to stick with the same plan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think when we had my youngest one at 2021, it was a little bit better because nobody could come in the room.
And it sounds like you're bad, like you don't do, but it's really like, I think that's your
just
way.
to
I think for a mother, it's good.
I think for, and it does not hurt to just say we're going to have this day after birth, not anybody coming. I mean, it's fine if you want to, whoever you want to have. But like for me, preference, I would have liked to have like my second one where we had a whole day to ourselves, to sleep, to eat, to get bathed, and to do all this stuff. And then the next day, family was able to come in, like one at a time or so, to come see the baby. But like,
I feel like you shouldn't have visitors within the first 24 hours until you get to have like your first bath and a first like some sleep. I think everybody should just leave them.
Yeah, because I mean, like afterwards, you just feel gross and you feel just tired and just drained. And I don't know about you, if you had like the shakes afterwards or like things that happen after.
A little bit.
You just want to kind of try to calm yourself down and kind of feel a bit better before you get bombarded with everybody.
Well, I did learn with my first one. I didn't know this, but with my second one, they told me, you know how you have like the IV in you, but they wrap it up in case they gotta check your blood and all that stuff.
Was it right here or was it
it
right
was
here?
in my hand. Or one, I can't remember. One time it was in my like right here randomly on my arm. And another time it was in my hand. They had a hard time finding my veins.
Oh, okay.
So they always do.
Well, I feel like, I guess every nurse is different because I see some where like theirs is in their hands, theirs is like right here on their arm. But mine was always here, and I hated it because I can't move. Like I can't move my arm to hold the baby or to like hug anybody because it hurts. Like if you bend it, the needle kind of goes.
This is what the one lady told me. I didn't know it was my first, so I had to wait forever, and you have to wait to take your bath. After that, you can have like as soon as they're done with any of the fluids or whatever they're getting in, they can take it right out. And they can tell you, like they said, well, if you need blood later, you'll have to get it back in. And I was like, that is fine. I'd much rather spend 24 hours without it in my arm and put it back in if I need it than spending all that time for a waste. So if you're in the hospital having a baby and it's done, say, go ahead and take it out. If I need blood later, you can put it back in. That way you have...
Yeah, because
well, it's so aggravating.
It was aggravating. That one was. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and...
With mine?
Yeah.
We... kind of the same. I had to be induced, and I had to get there at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we try to go to bed a little bit earlier, kind of get some rest, and then go in. But it's pretty easy. They told me, like, we've been there for a little bit. I really didn't get hungry until afterwards. Yeah. Like, throughout the day, I wasn't really hungry or tired. But I know that, like, at the end of the day, towards the end, I asked the nurse, I'm like, so about how much longer do you think it'll be? And she's like, you have a minimum of 5 hours. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because I wanted to do it all natural. Yeah. And she told me that, and I felt like my whole heart just sank. Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess I'll get the epidural. I was so upset about it, which now I'm like, it's fine. But as soon as I got it, within 40 minutes, we was ready to have her. Yeah. So I had just sent my husband out to go get a snack or whatever. He just left to go get him like a little snack, a drink, and kind of like get some air. Yeah. And I call him, and they said she's ready. You got to come back in. But anyway, so as soon as he left, he had to come right back, and then it took a while to get her. But the recovery, there's just like a lot of parts of it. You just don't know until you do it. Yeah. And somebody describe it to you, you're like, but like during it, it's just. Yeah. But I did afterwards. I did kind of have the shakes. I had my first in 2020, so I didn't have. My husband was the only person that was allowed up there. He could come and go if he needed to, but no one else was allowed. We wasn't allowed to have visitors afterwards, but it's kind of worked out good, I thought. Yeah. So after that, your body is like, you just feel weird. Yeah. You just feel weird. Like everything feels off.
Everything's healing. Everything's going
back to place. So you're like really big with this baby, and now it's out of you, but you're still like
kind of big,
and it's coming, and so everything just feels like really, really awkward. You feel off. Yeah. Your emotions are a little bit off. Like it just feels. Everything feels off. But my thing too is like, okay, I got so tickled. Okay, so I'm in the hospital. The baby a day old, maybe 2 days old, tops. A pediatrician comes in, and he's like looking at her legs, and he's like, are her legs always like this? And I'm like,
we just had her.
Like, I know. I was like, I don't know her that well yet. I don't know. Like, you're the expert. Why are you asking me?
Yeah,
Like, I felt like
crazy.
that kind of just made me feel like, well, am I supposed to know more about my kid than I do?
Yeah.
Like, is there some motherly instinct that I'm supposed to have that knows? And like, I think that was like, I thought I was supposed to just like, everybody kind of acts like, oh, it's a magical moment, and it is. And when you meet, you love them and stuff, but
Yeah.
like, you don't know your baby yet.
Yeah.
I know it sounds weird.
No, I know.
But you
mean.
gotta get to
don't-
know them.
Yeah.
And like, the same thing with my second. It's like, I think the newborn's so hard because like when they're crying, you gotta kind of figure out
What they want.
and what they need. And until you got to kind of get to know how they do, those first 6 weeks, you're trying to figure out what does this cry mean and what does this cry mean. And like the bigger they get, the
Yeah.
more you know, like,
Yeah.
oh, they're just whining, or oh, they're
Yeah.
probably
Oh, they're
hungry,
hungry.
or oh, they probably need their diaper. And you learn those cries as they get a little bit older.
Yeah.
But that first little bit, you don't.
You don't,
And you
yeah.
feel weird. I felt weird. My body was off. I felt kind of like really emotional, and I felt like, I guess like part of me felt panicky because I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I felt the same way though, because I was breastfeeding and my milk didn't come in like what everybody else's milk said, or everybody else said their milk came in or something. Mine never did. Okay, mine never.
Well, when
like,
you're induced, it takes like 5 days. When it's natural, it's like 3.
Okay, so it's probably a little bit different for me because like I was induced, but like both times.
True. It's true. It's supposed to.
But it just never came in, and I dried up a lot quicker than normal. But I do want to ask, did your husband change the first diaper, and how
He
did he
did.
feel?
He did. It was crazy because like the first one, he helped me change like her first poopy diaper, and he's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And we kind of did it together. But like after that,
Yeah,
he wasn't no diaper changer.
Yeah, me and my
He went
husband.
occasionally, but not much.
That's so funny. Me and my husband did change our first one's diapers both times, but like we read about it online on like what some like informations about like the first stages, newborn baby and stuff, and like we took I think we took a pregnancy class that they offered back then. We went like I think 2 or 3 times.
So y'all kind of had like an idea.
Yeah. So we went to those classes and we kind of had an idea of what was going to happen and stuff. But like we was reading about that meconium, whatever that first poop
Yeah,
that
it's like
they have.
tar.
And he when he changed the first one, he said, "Man, it's really black. I didn't really know it was going to be this black."
Yeah, it's like it's sticky
It's
too.
sticky.
So it's
and,
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, he had fun. He had fun changing it.
Me and mine were both like. Did you? Oh, going back. Sorry, I
No, you're
jumped
fine.
it for. Did you like love the experience of birthing? Because I know
I
they.
didn't feel anything because I got the epidural. I tried it with my second one. I tried naturally, and I almost was there, you guys. I was there, but I just felt so much pain, and I just wanted to punch my husband at that point. And like I needed him, but I didn't want him to touch me. And I was at that point, and I think I was like about 8 centimeters. Until I was just like, I cannot handle no more. I'm tired of this. I want to just relax. I said I had fun with my first one because my first one I had an epidural. So like I was sitting there relaxed and just talking and whatnot. And I'm over here on my second one and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like they have medicine for this.
Well, that's funny because with my second one, I went into labor naturally, and on the way to the hospital, I was like in full blood because by the time we got there, I was already at an 8.
Yeah.
So my husband was trying to comfort me and he tried to pat my head, and I was like, "Do not touch me!" I wanted no part. As soon as I got there, I was like, "Well, I have time to get an epidural." And there's like a few minutes, and they kept asking me questions. I'm like, "Stop talking to me! Give me the epidural." We'll answer questions later.
Well,
but, yeah.
Man, you're
But
on the same boat.
they were all like, "Do you want a mirror?" And I'm like, "I don't even want to be here."
Yeah.
I just want
my
to get this baby out of me. I don't want to watch. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I just want to get it
Yeah,
out
don't
and
ask
then meet
you
them.
if you want a mirror for, because some people might like to see.
Yes,
it.
some
Like,
people
no.
do. Like that's what. Like some people are like so involved they want to see. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
no, I was not that person. I
Me
was
either.
not.
I was like, no, that's gross.
But I also, like you, I did go with my second one. I did go in naturally. Like I was already getting there. I think I was already like a 5 or a 6 when I went in, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're keeping you." And And like, which I'm not telling about my second one, but like, what was funny is like, I've been having like contractions, and I felt them like so strong, but like they weren't bothering me. Like,
Yeah,
like
mine wouldn't
it was
at
fine.
first.
And I was vacuuming, and I was like, should I tell my husband? I was like, I don't know, I got to do the dishes. So like, I was like vacuuming and doing house stuff that morning, and I was like, I really need to do the dishes. But then he looked at me, he said, are you okay? Do you feel okay? I was like, yeah, I've been having a little bit of contractions here and there. And he was like, well, how far? Like, how you know, and he got his app. He was like, you just tell me when you are having one. I was like, okay. And I probably shouldn't have done this because I never got to do my dishes. But he did. He started timing me. He said, we really need to go to the hospital right now if you're really having all this. And I was having like a minute apart, 2 minutes apart. And then it went back to a minute and then 2 minutes. So like, it was like, the app was telling us to like, go to the hospital now. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I feel okay. I was like, it's not like excruciating pain like I was a couple hours later at 8. And I'm like, no, stick that medicine in.
I thought with my second two, I know it's our first ones, but my second two, I was like, we actually went to church and I felt them, but every time we went to church, I'd feel contractions, like throughout the whole pregnancy. And so I didn't think much of it, but it kept getting back. I didn't even like mention it to my husband because like I had to go late with so wasn't even expecting it early at all.
Yeah.
And because it was like 3 weeks. Like I had just turned 3 weeks, so it's a little bit.
Your second one, because you were like, she just came to church.
Yeah, I was just at church that night. So
Yeah.
that church night, we went home. We went 8, and then we went home. And I'm like, I woke him up, and I'm like, I think I might. And he's like, he was aggravated. I guess he's wanting to go sleep. Like we had already got in bed and got our night clothes on, and so I'm like, he's like, well, I need to know if you are or not. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know, blah blah blah. Well, in the time I called her, and she got there, it had like really started to escalate. And I'm like, she's like, I think you are. I think you need to go ahead and go over there.
Yeah.
So I know this is a completely different birthing story, but
Go ahead.
at 11:30 is whenever I called my mom, and I wasn't sure if I was in labor.
Right.
At 2:22, he was born.
Oh,
So it was so fast. Like that
was
time frame was quick. So
super
by the time we
fast.
got there and everything settled, they was like, the nurse was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we like this. You just come in and have your baby and go on. Because I guess some people like stay
Yeah.
there all night or
Yeah.
whatever. Or, you know,
Yes.
several, with my first one, it was several hours of labor, but this one, it was just like in and out.
In and out. Wow,
So
that's
that was
crazy
nice.
though. That's crazy. I don't know about you, but I did stay 3 days, which that's how much. I know they told me, I think after the second day we could go home, but I think we left on the third day just because our insurance is gone ahead and paid for it, so we just stayed the third day.
I think
I don't know how long you
because
had stayed.
we went in like Wednesday morning at like 2, and then we didn't go home till Friday. But we was wanting to go home, but she
Yeah.
didn't get born. She wasn't born until like 8 that night, so she was born really late.
Really
and then
late.
after
And then,
she was just
like,
24
after-
hours, it was Thursday.
Yeah. And after like you have your baby and stuff, there'll be doctors to check on your babies, doctors for your babies, and then doctors for you.
And they like to come
specifically,
like
so.
not at the same time. Like they'll come this time, like one for your baby will come, and then 30 minutes one for you will come, and then 30 minutes later one for your baby will come, and then so they're only checking on you once an hour, but
Yeah.
they checking on the baby once an hour, so
Yeah,
it's like
so, like,
every
it's
10
kinda-
minutes it
yeah.
feels like somebody's coming in. Anyways,
But
that's mine.
Camilla took my thing. I think it was how do we feel after going home?
Going home with your
Yeah,
baby. So once I got home with her, like I still felt like, I know for the first little bit, I almost felt like, because my mom stayed with me for about a week, and then my mother-in-law, they were coming back to visit like a week later, and I was like petrified for that week of nobody there. I'm like, what if I don't know what to do?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was a hard transition, I
Yeah.
think, because you have to get everything ready for her, and it was just like,
Yeah. Was
Worry
it
about
hard
her.
for you to like walk around and move?
like with my balance off.
No, like. Well,
I was
I
in
don't.
pain?
I don't. Yeah, like in pain.
I
No.
don't think so.
I was in a very like after we came home and stuff. I was in a lot of pain. I don't know if you felt more contractions afterwards, but I did. I felt
I heard a lot of people talk about the having like the after.
afterwards contractions.
Yeah, but I didn't.
I felt them, and it hurt. I felt like it hurt worse, almost as worse as like when I was actually
In labor?
in labor. But they went away after a little bit, but I don't know if it's because I was breastfeeding or if it
Oh,
was
probably.
just something that you go through.
Yeah, I think it's just like your stuff coming back together.
But my mom also came down with her kids, and it was us, and my husband took off 2 weeks, which was great and stuff. But like now looking back, and I had also talked to him too. Like if we ever have any more, I said I want you to only take 1 week and let somebody else come another week. Because I think having both my mom and him at the same time, it was a lot of people.
I think it's hard for men though.
Yeah.
Because I don't like some men might be different, but like my husband can't really stay in that house for long periods of time like I can.
Yeah.
I guess I'm busy. Like I guess he's not usually cleaning the house or anything like that.
Right.
But I think it's harder on a man to, because this with my second one, as soon as we got home, my husband was like, I gotta go to the woods or something, because we've been in the hospital for like 3 days, and so he's just been sitting there for whatever, like so long. But I don't think I'd want my husband home with me for a week.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Well, with my second one, he stayed home with me for 2 weeks, and I still did not. I was just like, no, this is not happening. If we ever have another one, you are only taking a week, and you go back to work. I said, I appreciate you trying to help me. I love you, but we cannot do this. I was like, we cannot do 2 weeks. And so, but with our first one, like I said, my mom was here, so she was helping me and doing all this for me, making us lunch and all that. So it was great. It was so great just to at least have her, because she's already went through it 3 times and like kind of helping me. And like at one point I was trying to like do something, pick up something. She was like, you just need to go lay down or sit down somewhere. And I was like, okay, I think I will. But I was hurting still afterwards and just kind of sore all over. I was tired afterwards, and just her helping me do stuff around the house. It was a lot.
Yeah, my mom helped with my first one. She come and she really helped kind of get that first like days back together, because she kind of like cleaned the house up and
just kind of helped
you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't really want her to take the baby much, like at night or something. I still like wanted the baby with me, so I'm like, oh, you can clean the kitchen, that's fine.
Yeah, and like for me, I think it was hard because I was breastfeeding, so like my mom couldn't take the baby, or else I probably would have.
Well, at that time, I guess I tried to, and I couldn't breastfeed. So I want, I guess part of me was like, well, I want to feed her because I'm the one who's supposed to be feeding her. But
your mom left after your mom had gone home and all that. Was you kind of scared that you were just like left with a baby? And how did you feel like that?
Like I just felt kind of like panicky feeling, because you're like, what if I do something wrong? All this stuff. And even looking back now, I think the newborn phase is the hardest phase for me.
Yeah.
Because right now I have two toddlers. I do think the newborn is just too much.
Yeah.
To I feel weird. I was trying to figure out this baby, and then once my baby was 2 months old, I got pregnant again.
Yeah.
So I was pregnant. So within my first year of motherhood, I had 2 babies, because I had my son.
Yeah.
When my first one was 11 months old.
Yep.
But I think about the 5 or 6 months mark, I think is when it starts to really get easier. On me. That's what I felt like with both my kids, like that 6 months mark.
Yeah.
I felt back to normal. We're all in a good routine.
So like, did you have any like baby blues, like
I did feel like that nervous.
Just that nervous.
Just that first little bit, because I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing that well. And I thought I would. I thought I would automatically know all these things about a newborn that I did not know, because I never had a newborn before.
Yeah.
It's not quite prepared. Did you have like a little bit of blues?
For me, after everybody had left and like nobody was coming around anymore, when the baby was a little bit older, maybe 2 months, 3 months old, around there, the baby phase of the newborn phase, I should say, is kind of wearing off, and nobody comes to see it, and you're used to like having all these people there, or having somebody text you, how's the baby, and after all that calms down, I kind of did feel the baby blues, and I kind of went through that, like not depression, I wouldn't call it depression, more like anxiety and
Did you feel like lonely?
Baby blues,
lonely, like it's just you and a baby?
Yes, I felt very lonely. Like, I'm going to go ahead and just express how I felt like right afterwards because
True, no.
I know I'm not by myself. I know I'm not by myself.
Yeah.
You know, but yes, I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have family. Like I don't have family here except for my granny, but like I didn't have like my mom or like anybody that would come and visit me anymore because you know, my granny lives 20-30 minutes away. But like
at this time, did you have a driver's license?
yeah,
did you drive?
No,
but I didn't think
this
so.
time, yeah, at this time, like we only had one car, so like I wasn't driving. I wasn't able to go out and, you know, get some fresh air. And I know some people, so they're like, when you first have a baby and you feel like you're stuck or whatever, just get out. Well, I couldn't get out. Like I could not get out. But like I felt that baby blues and like, no, I don't want to say depression because I don't think I was depressed. I was just more like sad and anxiety. Like, how am I going to take care of this baby by myself? How am I going to do this without my husband? Because I had him for 2 weeks and like,
yeah, and then he left.
He left and like, and I know he didn't leave, but like, it's just that
it feels like kind of too like life goes on, but your life has changed so dramatically that it kind of feels like, well, everybody's going on without me. Like everybody just goes back to their routine, and you're out of your routine. Like you have a whole new routine.
You have
now.
a whole new different routine. But like for me, when I got through all that, I really started focusing on prayer. I really like it hit me so hard at times. Like I would just be sitting on the couch with a newborn, and I'd be staring out the window, and I like at one point I kind of like woke myself out of it, and I was like, no, I'm not staying in this stage. I'm not doing this. So like a lot of times I would go out for a walk, and then I would talk to my sister, and because like my mom still had her little one too, so like, and right then when I had my newborn baby, my mom had lost her husband, so like I did not want to like I felt like I didn't want to put my baby blues, depression, sadness, whatever you want to call it, anxiety on her, and I want her to help me with it, but she had her own situation going on. So like the only persons I really talked to was like my husband and my sister, and like my sister helped me out a lot, but like if it wasn't for God, like I feel like I would have been super depressed then, but like if it wasn't for prayer and time with God and like talking to my sister about it, how I felt about it, like I think I needed that person to like help me talk to somebody so they can talk to me to kind of help me out, you know. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but like back then, just thinking about it, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't like let myself be in that stage or like let myself go through that because like by myself, because I think it would have just been turned a total different situation.
It would. See, with me, I probably could have felt that way more, but my mom lived right down the street from me, and my sisters already had children themselves. And so I know one time I was like, my sister was like, hey, you gonna come to mom's and eat? And I was like, I just don't think I can get out the house. And she's like, well, just put the baby in the car seat and come. And I'm like, I don't remember she showed up and was just like, let's go. Like, come on. Like, we'll just put, and she just kind of like helped me get out that door because I'm like, well, I can't. I got a newborn baby. Yeah. But I think that helped. And then just going to my mom's where I didn't even have to, like, I could just look like a hot mess. Nobody cared kind of thing. Yeah. I think I could have distracted myself a little bit better, but when you didn't have anybody, you could just drive to a house.
Yeah. And then I think my sister-in-law was pregnant, and my other sister-in-law had just had a baby too.
So they're going through it. So like they're similar, but they're not.
Yeah, they're going
not
through
already
like
gone
different
through it.
stages. Like my sister-in-law was pregnant. One was pregnant, and the other one had like a 6-month-old, I think. And so like we were all in different stages, but we weren't like as, I wouldn't say close. Like not to sound terrible, but like we weren't close. Like we weren't like.
She wouldn't show up to your house and say, get your clothes on, let's go outside, I don't care, kind of thingy.
So, like, for me, for me to talk to anybody, it would be my sister. Like, that's who I would go to, like, hey, help me out here. It might be weird. It might, like, I recently just went through something, and I talked to my sister about it. Like, after I talked to the Lord about it, I talked to my sister about it. It's like, am I being odd? I said, I'm just human, right? Like, I'm not, like, I don't want to be, like, Sound like
I
what?
do call my sister that way, like, okay, listen to this. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I do the same thing with mine. I'm
Yeah, like I'm
listen
just
to
like,
this.
am I just human? Like, am I just me? Like, I know I'm human, but like, am I just being weird about it? You know. But anyway, I did talk to her about it. But like, honestly, I'm so thankful that I have a sister that's close to me. Like, that's close. Like, we've always been really close. But like, I am just, I don't know how to express it. Like, I'm so thankful that I had her then. But I know, even though right now she's in a stage where like she can't have a baby, but she helped me out so much with the baby, like with just motherhood. She's helped me out so much. Like my babies are like her babies now.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, I hope if you're in that stage where like you feel by yourself, you feel alone, call me up. If you have my number, call me.
Well, yeah, me
Like,
too.
I
We won't judge you.
Like, I'm not going to judge you because I went through it.
Yes.
I felt it. I went through it. I passed it. God helped me out through God's grace. I went by it, and
I think sometimes just hearing somebody say, "Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, it's hard, and you'll get through it." Because I think sometimes we tend to glamorize stuff so much, where people are like, "Oh, it's the most amazing thing ever. I love the newborn stage.
Yeah.
I miss my babies being newborn," and you're like struggling so much, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Is something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Am I not loving my newborn?" And it's like, no. And I can look back now and be like, "Oh, I do miss when my babies were little, and oh, it was so much." Like different, I look at it differently than whenever you're actually going through it.
Yeah.
And having my second one was way easier than having
Yeah,
my first.
it
Like
was
when my second,
definitely
literally, like
easier.
she was only 11 months old. My oldest was only 11 months old, but that second one, like, it was just so much easier.
Yeah.
I guess like I already
think
knew.
it's
I'm like,
the
it is
same.
going to get better.
Yeah.
Like I just got a few more months. I think it probably told my little boy one time. I was like, in just a few months, he's going to be bigger and it's going to be way easier. So it kind of like just helped your mind a lot,
Yeah.
like knowing like it's going to, it'll get.
But yeah, I know I'm not by myself, but I'm just glad I didn't have to go through that by myself because, I had God and then I had my sister. But, I know.
And you have your husband, but they don't.
Like,
they're not women.
I talk, like,
I know
you're
it
probably
sounds
wondering,
weird.
like, did you talk to your husband? Yes,
Yeah.
I did talk to my husband, but my husband did not understand why I was sad. Like, my husband's like, it's fine, just, it'll go away. He did not
I think
understand.
a woman can say the same thing differently than a man because we have we're just different. We're just
We're just
main
built
thing.
different.
Yeah, men and women are just different.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that.
But he did at that point, and I don't think he meant it mean or anything, but he was like, it's fine, just cry it out and just, walk it out, whatever, and be good. But like, he just did not understand my mom.
Yeah, men don't have the same emotions that we do. They don't. So they
don't.
can't understand ours. There's no possible way for them to understand what we're going through in a way that another woman can because their emotions don't process the same ways that ours do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, motherhood, the first year of motherhood, and like from being pregnant and delivering it, and like that first newborn stages, it's hard, but it's beautiful.
I know another advice that people kind of tell me, and like they even give it to me now, and it kind of stresses me out. They're like, well, just don't worry about the dishes. Don't worry about the house. Like, this is more important, and it is. And in some aspects, I'll take it. Like, sometimes after dinner, if my kids want to go outside, we'll just go out and we'll go for a walk, and then I'll clean the kitchen later. But I'm like, you still got to clean that house. And so it's like, I realize they're saying, like, it's not that important, but at the same time, you feel like, I still got to get it done. If somebody comes to my house and
like,
it's never
who's gonna
clean.
do it?
Yeah, I know you're like, would you stop telling me that? That's not helping. Tell me how to do it easier.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and eventually, as a newborn mama, a new mama, you'll find your own comfort zone. You'll find your own, like you said, routine.
Yeah.
How to do things.
And like sometimes you'll get online and you'll watch people do it, and you're like,
How do they do it
Yeah.
so easy? How to make it so easy look like that?
and
How
like
does-
what works for you may not be work. So it's like, honestly, my house usually looks a little messy throughout the day, but like before bedtime is usually when I can get everything straightened up and put back together. And I don't know, like around 6 is whenever I'm like, I don't know if it's like an energy thing. Like I feel better in the morning, but like something around 6 o'clock, I'm like, okay, let's get everything put back together and hurry and rush, and somehow that works. But other people are like, you gotta get up in the morning and do all this and do all that, and you're like trying to do it their way, but you just gotta find out what's gonna work
good
for you. And if it's like doesn't, like if you try something and it doesn't work, that's okay. Just keep trying something else.
Yeah.
And like figure out your own little thing. And your thing may not be what your husband's thing is. So
Yeah.
try to figure out yours way and take his advice when you need it. Because he might be like, you need to do it this way. And you're like, but I can't do it that way.
Yeah.
So.
But, and all that to say that, you know, we love being a mother.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah. I hope this isn't a like,
Yeah.
mother heart's so hard. I hope y'all take it like,
We're
there's hard parts in it. Like, it is beautiful. It is wonderful. And you do love it. And there's like, the good outweighs the bad majorly. But if you feel like you're going through, I mean, yeah, a lot of us too. Like, that's natural.
Yeah.
We're not really talking about that there are hard parts to it. And some
like,
days you just want to sit down and cry.
Yeah. And like, and if you pay attention, God will send you the right person to talk to, you know, to let you know that you're not by yourself.
I know one thing, like, you kind of compare yourself to other people. But if you compared your pregnancy and your newborn stage with me at my second, we would be, because I had my second son, my pregnancy was super easy. My birthing was super easy. Within 2 weeks, I felt the same as I had before. Like, I felt great. 2 weeks after. I will have a video of me running down the hill. At 2 weeks after giving birth, and my aunt's telling my mom, she was like, what's going on? Like, she just had a baby. But I felt fine. Like, I bounced back so fast.
Yeah.
And everything. And he was a really easy baby.
Yeah.
And so if that was my first, and you're watching me do all this, and you're like,
how?
It's such a struggle.
Yeah.
Because it was everything was different that time. Like, it was, mentally, it was a lot easier because it was my second, I think, because I already went through it. And then physically, it was so much easier. So much easier than, like, my first. My first did take a little bit longer to recover. So, like, if you're looking at a mom and she's just doing so great, well, you know what? Her pregnancy may have been a lot easier than yours. And then, so you're comparing the wrong thing. Because I know my sister just had her last one. And she's like, I never understood women talking about being in so much pain while pregnancy, but this pregnancy was so much different than her other one. She's like, without this pregnancy, I would have never known women went through this kind of stuff. Because it was just so much different than her boys. So it's just crazy. Like, you can't compare yourself to somebody else because it could be a completely different scenario.
Yeah, I mean, my second one was a lot harder than my first one. Like, super hard. Like,
the pregnancy itself.
My pregnancy itself was so hard on me, and I feel like it's because I gained a little bit more weight than I did with my first one, and it was just, I don't know, it was so much harder. And like, labor was fine, and delivery was fine, but like, my whole pregnancy, like, it was totally different than my first one. And that's why I feel like we thought for a little bit was a boy, because it was so different, but she ended up being a girl. But it was just, I don't know, it was just so different. And like, you just, like you said, you can't compare pregnancies to other mamas, because your pregnancy will be totally different than, you know, mine. So
well, and also with my son, I had gestational diabetes, so I was on a super strict diet.
I feel like
I was pretty skinny. So even though I was pregnant, I didn't eat much. But my first one, I was like, let's eat anything. When the second one, I couldn't eat nothing. I actually lost weight during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I was like, after I had him, I went right back to my regular weight just because I was such a strict diet. So anyways, I'm just saying, like, everybody's going a little bit different. Like, same woman can have different pregnancies.
And like, my second pregnancy, I, like, after a little bit, after everybody left and everybody came to see the baby, with my second one, I didn't have that baby blues.
You didn't have that?
I was fine. I was normal. Like, I didn't have anything like that. Just like my first one, it was it was horrible because I had that, but you know, like I said, I went through it and I was fine. But like my second one, I didn't even have that. I was just happy. I was excited to see my oldest one with my little one. So like, it was a different stage, but I did not have that. So it was, you know, that pregnancy alone was totally different than my first one. So, but anyway,
we hope that this helps
anybody
mothers out there.
New mothers, and,
like, if you're looking back and you're feeling bad about yourself, or like, oh, I didn't do it this way. You know, everybody's different. It's all work.
Everybody's
we just
different.
hope that's what we wanted this episode to be about, just kind of like an encouragement word.
And then like, we wanted just to kind of tell our, you know, first motherhood, the year, and how we felt during it, and kind of, just.
Oh, and then also no one really talks about like that first year. Once you get to that 1 year mark, you suddenly feel all sad again because your baby's a year old and they seem like mine was walking, so they went from needing you for every single thing to running around doing whatever, and it's like yeah, it's like an emotional roller coaster all over again.
It's so beautiful though, because God placed these babies in our lives for a reason, and we just want to do right by them and raise them well, raise them to love God. But and all that to say that we do, we hope it encourage someone. We leave this verse for you.
Lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So Psalms 127:3.
You guys just hug your babies and love them, and make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you check out all the other podcasts, especially our recent one. But make sure you also go to our Instagram and follow us for more updates and stuff.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.